And this is a worrying thing for the Indians because India wants to be seen in a regional security competition with China, and if it doesn't have the American back, then there is trouble. As far as the Trump administration is concerned, it has not shown much interest in Quad, which is the reason that the two Quad members, Japan and Australia, are striking their own trade deals today with China. It has not shown much interest in interfering in South Asia. In fact, President Trump has been quite open in saying to India that you sort out your things in South Asia, and it has not shown much interest in India being the military bulwark in Indian Ocean region. So this is where India's foreign policy stands today.
大家好，我是老吴。最近的中印关系有点意思。7月14日，印度外长苏杰生时隔5年再度访问北京，姿态放得低，话也说得软，强调中印是发展伙伴，不是竞争对手。印度愿意从长远角度看待和中国的关系，聚焦共同利益，尽量避免分歧。其实这种转变并不突然，早在去年10月，莫迪在金砖峰会期间跟习主席碰面的时候，印度就已经在释放缓和的信号了。最近一个比较典型的例子是，今年5月，印巴之间爆发了一次军事冲突，当时印度媒体天天骂中国，但印度政府却一反常态，格外的低调，小心翼翼的没有把中国扯进来。那问题来了，为什么印度对中国的态度开始变了？又是什么促使他们重新审视自己的战略方向？今天这期我想带大家一起来听一听一位印度理性派的战略学者的深度分析，或许能帮我们看懂印度这些动作背后的真实逻辑。这位学者叫普拉文·索尼，他的背景不简单，他是前印度陆军的军官，也是印度著名的国防分析师。他的文章经常登上《印度时报》等主流媒体，还写过不少关于印中、印巴战略关系的书。简单说，他既专业又敢说话，所以在印度国内也是一个很有争议的人物。索尼的分析不是只盯着战术层面的小打小闹，而是从全球地缘政治的大格局出发，勾勒出了南亚未来可能的新版图。他提出了一个非常尖锐的观点，在特朗普重返白宫、美国全球战略收缩的大背景下，印度这几年紧跟着美国对抗中国的路子已经走到头了，而这次所谓的辛杜尔行动不但没捞到什么实惠，反而暴露了印度自身的短板，意外的还帮巴基斯坦刷了一波国际存在感。那么这位印度学者具体是怎么论证这些观点的？他又为何认为中国将逐步取代美国成为南亚真正的主导力量？咱们接着往下看。
China has replaced America as the dominant power in South Asia with serious strategic implications for India because India is the biggest nation in South Asia. Now everybody is aware that with the rise of China, the global geopolitics under the Obama administration shifted from transatlantic to the Asia Pacific region after President Obama ordered the pivot to Asia, but it was in the first Trump administration in 2017, that is the time when the Modi government was in power in India, that America declared that it was in a century-long strategic competition with China. Now, these two great powers, China and America, they have an entirely different model of their rise. As far as the Americans are concerned, their model is a model of Cold War, which is about dominance, which is building on their strength of military power. The one that believes in balance of power politics, and hence believes in a zero-sum game. That means if I have to win, then you have to lose. And it is a hierarchical structure where America is the leader and 20% of the world population, which is the global North nations, they are the followers. India found this model very attractive, the Modi government, because Indians with a colonial mindset, they could identify very closely with this model. Now on the other end was an entirely new model which was brought in by China, built on its strength, which is economic power. So their model was about development and prosperity, about equality, about indivisible security. And in any case, China had a reputation of being the #1 manufacturing nation in the world and the best nation for infrastructure building. So therefore, when the Chinese proposed the Belt and Road Initiative for prosperity, out of 193 countries in the world, 146 countries came on board the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, as far as the Indians were concerned, everything went on fine until the Biden administration, which doubled down on the first Trump administration. And the focus of the Americans until the Biden administration was on a security competition with China, both in Western Pacific and the Indian Ocean region. The idea was that here the Chinese vulnerability was there. And the vulnerability was that the Chinese 3 trillion worth of trade every year, which included their food and their oil, that passed through the Indian Ocean region and the Western Pacific. Therefore, the Americans wanted India to be the military bulwark in the Indian Ocean region, which India considered to be its backyard against China. And the Indians were delighted for this role. So basically, till the end of the Biden administration, not only the Americans were supporting India in the Indian Ocean region, they also were supporting in South Asia. They were supporting India. This was the situation until the second Trump administration, when everything changed. There was an entirely new foreign policy. As far as Trump is concerned, relevant to my discussion, he had 2 priorities. One was trade, and the second priority is to focus on building American military power. Because the thinking now was that relative to the PLA, the US military power had come down relatively, it has diminished. That had to be built. So that security competition, which was the key focus of the Biden administration, is no longer there with the Trump administration. And this is a worrying thing for the Indians, because India wants to be seen in a regional security competition with China, and if it doesn't have the American back, then there is trouble. As far as the Trump administration is concerned, it has not shown much interest in Quad, which is the reason that the 2 Quad members, Japan and Australia, are striking their own trade deals today with China. It has not shown much interest in interfering in South Asia. In fact, President Trump has been quite open in saying to India that you sort out your things in South Asia, and it has not shown much interest in India being the military bulwark in Indian Ocean region. So this is where India's foreign policy stands today. Now, as far as the Chinese are concerned, Chinese, when they looked at this entire region, Asia Pacific, and according to their strength, the economic strength, what they did was, at one extreme they had ASEAN, so they built very good trade relations with ASEAN. At the other end were the 54 nations of the African continent, where in any case they have been involved for the last 3 decades in development and infrastructure building. So excellent ties Chinese have with the African continent also. The only problem was South Asia, and in South Asia, India. So the Chinese were trying very hard to normalize relations with India in South Asia, which of course did not work for various reasons. I don't want to go in the details here. Now what happened was, this is the time that Prime Minister Modi did Operation Sindhur. Now, of the 4 days of Operation Sindhur, which is from the 6th to the 10th, let it be very clear, and the world knows it, that the most important was the night of 6/7, the air battle and its outcome, because that is the future of war. And while the Pakistani side gave a good briefing, elaborate briefing about what happened in the air battle that night, the Indian side has not spoken about it, but the fact remains that the entire world knows about it. This is no secret at all, and so much has been written about the air battle on the 6/7 night. What was the outcome of that? And obviously the Chinese knew, and the Trump administration also knew every detail of what happened on the night of 6/7. Now, both sides, India and Pakistan, were not keen to escalate things any further, and they both were wanting to have an end to the hostility. And that is where President Trump said that he had offered a ceasefire with a trade deal to both India and Pakistan. Now, India denied, of course, all that, but we know now that the US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutkin, he is on record said, to the US Court of International Trade that it was only after America offered the trade deal or trade access to India and Pakistan that they agreed to end hostility. Though, of course, as I said, that they were keen in any case to end it. So the point to make here is trade is the key thing as far as President Trump is concerned, and India in any case is committed to Mission 500, which basically means that the present bilateral trade between India and America is close to $200 billion annually, will be taken over the next 5 years to $500 billion annually. Now it is very obvious that the Americans are aware of the big shortcoming or the big problem which was there in the air-land battle, and they are also aware that the Chinese are giving now the 5th generation aircraft to the Pakistan Air Force. So I have no doubts that the Trump administration and especially President Trump will be putting a lot of pressure on India to buy the F-35s and of course other military equipment from America. Now, this whole thing which is going on about hyphenation with Pakistan, you see, the hyphenation is only in the area of military capabilities, something that I have been arguing for decades, that as far as military competition is concerned, India and Pakistan, they are peer competitors. I have been saying it for a long time. Now, as far as China is concerned, China is very happy with the outcome of what happened in the air battle, and it is very happy to give top of the line equipment to Pakistan. And Chinese now have come up very openly in support of Pakistan. So after consultation with China, the Pakistan leadership, certainly not from a position of weakness, has offered 2 times peace talk to India on 3 subjects bilaterally. The subjects are trade, water and Kashmir, something that the Indian government will never agree. And since Prime Minister Modi ordered the pause to Operation Sindhur, this also has worked to Pakistan's favor, in their favor in 2 ways. One, this pause has given Pakistan time to build its military and technology capabilities openly with support from China, where China will give it state-of-the-art equipment and in double time. And second, this pause has given the Pakistan leadership time to establish the credibility of its geography for geopolitics, which is why the Pakistan leadership is doubling down in its engagement with Afghanistan, UAE, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and most importantly, Russia. So to any neutral observer, things look like this, that in military terms, Pakistan has emerged as a peer competitor of India, that Pakistan is a military power, that Pakistan has credible geography for geopolitics, and most of all, Pakistan has the backing of China, and this matters considering that the Trump administration has shown no interest in being in South Asia. So in my opinion, China will now dominate South Asia because it wants to position Pakistan as a strategic alternate to India in South Asia. And this will also see the revival of SAARC. Please recall in 2014 at the SAARC summit in Nepal, 3 member countries of SAARC, Pakistan, Nepal and Sri Lanka, they had proposed that China, which had an observer status, be made a full member, and India was not agreeable to that. And therefore in 2016, when the Uri attacks happened, India found good reason to not attend the Islamabad SAARC summit, and that was the end of SAARC as far as India was concerned. So here will be an opportunity to revive SAARC. Now in any case, when you see South Asia, all the small neighbors except for India and Bhutan, everybody is already on board the Belt and Road Initiative, and India has just sent an all-party delegation to various countries, but it has not bothered to send a delegation to the South Asian nations, to the smaller nations in neighborhood, giving a clear signal that it doesn't care about its neighborhood. So what we are looking at is that all these smaller nations, with support of China, will be able to engage with each other intensely, and given China's deep pockets and infrastructure building capabilities, perhaps whether India likes or not, despite India, SAARC and the region may prosper. So this, in my opinion, is how China is set to dominate South Asia. Thank you.
好，刚才这段分析就是这样。索尼这位学者的观点确实够犀利，他用了很清楚的逻辑，把印度当前面临的几个大问题讲得明明白白。第一，他认为印度在战略上犯了一个根本错误，把自己当成了美国对抗中国的军事堡垒。可现在随着特朗普一心想收缩海外的力量，印度这个堡垒的价值也在快速贬值。第二，他毫不客气地指出，这次军事冲突让世界看清楚，巴基斯坦现在已经成了印度的对等的军事竞争者，而且巴基斯坦背后有中国撑腰。第三，他认为印度这些年盯着中国不放，反而忽视了南亚的主导权，结果给了中国机会。中国现在借着支持巴基斯坦，正在重组一个去印度化的南亚经济圈。最后他得出了一个挺扎心但也非常有道理的结论，他说印度很可能在自己家门口被战略性的边缘化了。我觉得像索尼这种能跳出印度民族主义情绪，理性审视印度本国战略问题的人，在印度非常少见。他的清醒和直率值得点个赞。好了，今天的分享就到这里，感谢大家收看，我们下期再见。